Бля, почему мышку слышно? Иди нахуй. Что я еще хотел сделать? Атака на пусание.
У нас одна цель. У всех нас.
Здесь, наверное, даже... Хотя... Ну, здесь, наверное, лучше вот эту делать.
Я не верю, что ты исцеляешь волшебство.
Иногда волшебство — это наука, пока неизвестная нам.
Именно. И я должна узнать твой секрет.
3, 2, 1. Первый раунд. Захватить.
Итак, начнем.
А, похилить. А, стоит сзади.
Я такого не допущу.
Иди нахуй, говноед, блядь, ебаный. Если ты не гуляешь, игрок, блядь.
Я такого не прощаю.
Полный разгон. Запускаю протокол самоуничтожения. Выгружаю системы.
Пока рано.
Over there.
Parfait. Сделали первый раз. Другое дело.
Ощутите спокойствие.
Я тебя подложу.
Рванет.
Верни то, что нужно.
Блядь, сын, блядь, на фаре, тебе пизда.
Давай вернемся до ключа. Герой не умирает.
Давай, девочка. Победа в первом раунде.
Долбоёб, блядь.
Счет
Танк хороший.
1-0.
Прям реально хороший. Хил средний неплохой. Ну, на Дзиньяте, по крайней мере. Что это за карта, блядь?
Держимся вместе.
А, здесь точно
Удары я
солдат.
приму на себя.
Здесь точно солдат.
Всем нужно за что-то сражаться.
Пять, 4, 3, 2, 1. Второй раунд. Захватите объект.
Команда мечты. Я мечта, а вы команда.
Поиграл.
Включаю двигатели. Пускай зачистую матрицу. Я размазала.
Хорошо, играл.
Двойное.
Чтобы хлопнуть в ладоши, нужны две руки. Поле активно. Вижу врага. Кому подлечить?
Герой не умирает.
Запускаю протокол самоуничтожения.
Замечена цель.
А, ну прям выебано, блядь.
Поле активно. Вы у меня в прицеле.
Долбоёб на паре, нахуй. Бегает за мною, блядь. Я его слышал, но мне было плохо.
Меня в прицеле.
Чисто бегает за мной.
Могу стоять на ногах. Могу и воевать.
Долбоёб.
Нас маловато.
Сейчас
Я не дам тебе
И мы
ходить.
снова в строю. Быстрее ко мне. Моя способность
Что он не
спать
нахиливает,
готова.
блядь. Забавно. Зачем вы, блядь, с энергетикой стреляете?
на ногах. Могу и воевать.
Зачем? Нам же пизда.
Тут у нас нарывается.
Кому подключиться?
Победа.
ГГ. Танк хороший.
Лучший момент матча.
Удачного подъема наверх!
И это лучший момент матча? Круто.
А ну-ка, по поводу РБК. А мне надо ботинки, возможно, это раз поменять. Что мне еще надо поменять?
Hey gamers, in this video we'll be going over some tips for new and old DPS players alike. Before we get into our tips, the new Game Leap Overwatch 2 website just released the other day and is constantly being updated with new guides for every single hero. Make sure you check it out at Game. Hey gamers, in this video we'll be going over start ranking up today. Alright, my first tip is for all of the short range DPS heroes that you're going to be playing, things like Reaper, Mei, Tracer, Sombra, maybe Genji, these heroes absolutely want and really just need to be playing near their team most of the time. While some of them can easily pull off 1v1s, especially good Tracer, Reaper, and Genji players, you really want to be focusing on your team play with these heroes. The reason that you want to be doing this is that a lot of the times your other DPS, maybe your supports or your tanks, are going to be getting certain heroes low, and if you're not near the team and you're not ready to follow up, then these opportunities can easily be wasted if you're out of position. Whether you're on the front lines with Reaper or Tracer or just in the back line with Genji, this means making sure that no matter where you are currently, you're always looking back to check where your team is at every 5 to 10 seconds, and if they're too far away to actively engage the enemy team, then you need to make sure that you're waiting for your team to arrive at the right place so that you can engage on the enemies as your team does. This is because I see a lot of DPS players trying to fight the enemies before their team even reaches the objective, and they'll either die or they'll waste a lot of their cooldowns as their team is getting back into the fight. And while if you have a control point and you're trying to stall it, this is a fine play. But if the enemy team controls the objective and you are trying to engage them before your team gets there, whether you're wasting an ultimate or cooldowns or you're dying, then your team is most of the time going to get to the objective as you're dead or as you are out of the fight, being forced out early by the enemies, and then the enemies are going to easily be able to fight your team because they're down a player, and the enemies are going to have cooldowns as your team gets into the fight. So you always want to be checking where your team is before you're actually engaging with the enemies. And if you're mid-fight and you and just your tank are fighting and you haven't really looked behind you to see what's going on, make sure you just take a look behind you real quick, just see what your supports are doing, see if they're getting dove. A lot of the times you can easily prevent your supports getting dove and your tank just dying in general by just taking a look behind you and making sure that people are actually there ready to fight with you. My second tip is that if you are playing against an enemy composition that has been easily destroying your tank and running you over, you want to try and take up less of your team's healing. Whether this is swapping heroes to a hero that can sustain on their own better, maybe Soldier or Tracer, or just playing smarter so that you aren't taking the attention of whatever healer you have away from your tank. Some good ideas here would either be playing right next to the healer or a little bit in front of the healer so that they don't have to look far to find you when you're spamming the need healing button. A lot of the times, whenever whenever I'm playing healer and my Tracer or Genji is in the enemy backline spamming need healing, I have to take away precious time from healing the tank so that I can look at my Tracer or Genji who is spamming need healing and I can actually heal them. But a lot of the times my tank is either going to take a lot more damage than I intended and actually get bursted down when I'm looking at another player, or the tank is going to end up losing the battle in the long term because the enemy healer did not need to look away from their tank. So as a DPS player, you need to try and take this into account. Even if you're kind of low HP, try and get in front of your healer so